The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we need to speak into the microphone. We all have them in front of us now. So Sarah, you need to take care of a few things. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Yes, I have a couple housekeeping items to go over. First off, please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices if you are attending in person or online in order to keep the meeting silent and moving forward. For member GoToWebinar housekeeping, we do have members that have opted to attend virtually today. And for your participation, in case you are unfamiliar with GoTo, there you should have a control panel, and you can either mute and unmute yourself, or you can utilize the chat box, whichever you prefer to use to participate into the meeting. If you're having any technical difficulties, please email Abby Hemenway at abby.hemenway@brevardfl.gov. Thank you.
Do we have a quorum?
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Hickman, and I am the Space Coast TPO Office Specialist. So this afternoon, I just want to verify that we have quorum. So I'm going to do a roll call for to see who's here. Okay, so Mr. Allender, I know he's here. He just stepped out for a moment. Felix?
Here.
Foster?
Here.
Forrester?
Here.
Jordan? Lober?
Here.
Minus? Pritchett?
Here.
Robinson? Smith? Young?
Here.
Did I miss anyone? Okay, so we have.
I'm online. This is Skip Williams. I'm online.
So I don't have that. Do you have that up here?
You had me as virtual.
Yes, hold on one second for me, please. Okay, so per policy and state law, public meetings are required to hold a physical meeting room and quorum. Governor previously had an executive order providing an exemption, but of course that has expired. Members attending virtually are only able to vote if the physical quorum passes a motion to allow virtual actions. So
Moved, Lober.
Do we have a second? All those in favor?
I'm
Aye.
sorry, who was the second?
Those against?
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you.
We need to do that again?
Nope, I've got
You
that.
got it? Okay.
Lober and Pritchett. Okay, so then we can do the roll call for the virtual attendees. Okay, so Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Williams. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
All right, that brings us to reports. Georgiana?
Okay, Madam Chair, I think that we have public comment next.
Yes, before we have public comment, let me go over public comment housekeeping items. The public could choose to attend via computer, smartphone, telephone, or appear in person. They are also able to watch online via YouTube. If you are online and would like to place a public comment, you can either use the question and answer box, or you can raise your hand at this time. Verbal and written comments will also be accepted after the meeting by emailing lisa.hickman@brevardfl.gov or calling our office at 321-690-6890. Written comments will be accepted no later than 3 business days after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, then that brings us to reports. Georgiana?
I think we do have one public comment.
I have my reports further down the list, but let's do public comment. I do have a speaker card from Bob Musser. Bob Musser, are you online?
It's for 7A, I believe.
Pardon?
I think it's for the specific item of 7A.
7A.
Okay, so we are at director report. All right. Very good. All right, well, welcome everyone. It is our first meeting of 2021, and it is really good to see everyone's faces here today. It looks like we're a little light today, but I am happy that we have a quorum. To our new members, we have a lot of exciting things that we're going to dig into this year, and I look forward to meeting you and working with you in the future as we tackle some of the transportation issues that we have here in Brevard County. So welcome. I will be reading off of page 4, which is the director's report in your package. I wanted to let everyone know board member briefings. Board members can schedule agenda review meetings with me on Tuesday or Wednesday prior to the Thursday TPO meeting. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. You can call me by phone. We can set up a face-to-face meeting, whatever your preference is. If you have any questions about the agenda package, feel free to reach out to me, and we will always schedule those meetings with you. For the new members or any of the existing members, the Florida MPOAC Institute has created a series of 5 self-paced webinars, which is designed to provide the board members with really a high-level introduction to the nature, the function, the processes, and products of MPOs. And when I say MPOs for the new members, that means Metropolitan Planning Organization, means the same thing as a transportation planning organization, which is what we call ourselves. So you can watch these at your leisure, and you have total access to these webinars. There is a fee for this training, but I want to let you know that the TPO will be covering that cost. And I would highly encourage you to take advantage of this online training. All you have to do is reach out to Lisa Hickman, who is walking right there, and she will get you set up and taken care of if that is something that you would like to participate in. The Space Coast TPO annual call for projects. Our transportation subcommittee met in January to kick off our project priorities program. And our transportation subcommittee is made up of the staff from the different cities and the county. And we meet to discuss transportation projects every year. Applications for state and federal funding are due to the TPO by March 15th. So we work very closely with your staff as we develop this program. So I did want to just let you know about that. Also, in case you missed it, our member orientation was held in January, and you can still view the webinar at your convenience, either on our YouTube page or our website at the link provided in the agenda package. It's just an hour long, and it really just kind of provides the foundation of your role here on the TPO. And I would encourage the new members really to take the time to review that as well. Also in your package is the MPOAC legislative newsletter, and they track changes each week that the legislature is meeting, and they provide updates. We will email that update to you each week. If you have any questions or concerns regarding any of these proposed bills, please let me know. Carl McKiska, who is the executive director of the MPOAC, is more than willing to follow up with any of the bill sponsors and try to get more information. I do want to bring your attention to one of those bills. Senate Bill 62 would remove regional planning councils from state statutes, which would eliminate their advisory role. We have, of course, worked very closely with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council over the years. They have also been, instrumental in securing grant funding for cities and the county. So we really do want to stand firm with our RPCs. The MPOAC isn't really sure what this bill is about, but both the TAC and the CAC, our technical and citizens advisory committees, on Monday voted to support the TPO sending a letter in opposition to this bill unless it's modified. And it's my understanding the Space Coast League of Cities as well adopted a resolution opposing the bill, as well as a lot of the cities. I think City of Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach as well. So and Indy Atlantic. So I have prepared a draft letter at your place for Vice Chair Young's signature, and with your permission, I can send the same letter
Ms. Gillette, do you need a motion, or do you just want to see that there's a lack of opposition to
I
it?
think a motion would be great.
I'll move to approve it, and I also would move to allow staff or Ms. Young to modify it as need be.
All right, second,
Thank you very much.
Lober and Minus.
All right, thank you. Moving on, the MPOAC Advisory Committee also met on January the 28th in Orlando. And of course, for the new members, the MPOAC is a forum of where the 27 MPOs get together in the whole state of Florida. And we discuss policy and urban transportation planning. Federal Highway Administration is at the table, as well as the Florida Department of Transportation. And it's a very valuable meeting. One item discussed was the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Act. It provides roughly $89 million to TMAs, which is a transportation management area, urbanized area with a population of 200,000 and more. The Space Coast TPO is a TMA. And looking at the funding tables, we will be receiving an additional $2.8 million in additional transportation funding. So these funds are available for obligation through fiscal year 2024. So I wanted to put that bug in your ear. Well, we don't have all the details. We could use it for, transportation projects as we do now. But we don't know how that funding will be coming through, probably through the DOT and then trickle down to the TPO. So we will keep you posted about that. Also, there was discussion that maybe in the summer, there will be a relief package that will focus on infrastructure specifically, and perhaps a new reauthorization bill to focus on policy separately. And perhaps, maybe providing some guidance on the replacement for the fuel tax. But of course, it's all speculation at this point. The governing board also received a presentation from the Florida DOT Forecasting and Trends Office on the efforts of the department in creating a master plan for the development of a network of facilities to serve electric vehicles. So the goal of the master plan is to support, short and long range electric vehicle travel, encourage the expansion of electric vehicles in the state of Florida, and adequately serve evacuation routes in Florida. So it's a very good presentation, but it definitely spurred a lot of conversation on the floor with the governing board members concerning the impact of electric vehicles to our revenues. And members really wanted this topic to come back to the MPOAC. And they also want to encourage the state of Florida to do a revenue replacement study. That, in their words, the can keeps getting kicked down the road, and that this needs to be looked at sooner rather than later. So wanted to let you know about that conversation. So finally, in your package, you have our public engagement report. You also have a flyer for the Minton Road Feasibility Study virtual meeting, which will be coming up February the 17th. Also, at your place, you have the executive summary of our 2045 LRTP. That's for your use. And you can see the full 2045 LRTP that we adopted just here recently online, but that is for you for information. And also, I wanted to point out this little stop speeding tip card. While driving, I pledge to stay alert, watch for pedestrians. We encourage you to take this with you. If you own a business, if you would put it at your business, take it to your city. This is part of Alert Today, Alive Tomorrow. And of course, that we as a TPO adopted a Vision Zero action plan. So we're really trying to get these tip cards out to hoteliers, and we are the Tourism Development Council. And so we're really making a push for that. So anything you can do to help, we would appreciate it. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that Scott Nelson with Space Coast Area Transit is retiring. And so we wanted, of course, to bring that to everyone's attention. So, Madam Vice Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. He cannot retire. We need him. We absolutely need him. Before we move on, we still have an open motion and a second on the floor to approve the letter. So as we have the motion and the second, all those in favor of writing this letter, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, and the motion passes. All right, let's move on. And I believe,
I have a question for Georgiana.
yes, please.
Georgiana?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you received a resolution from our commission and it is going to require a Space Coast TPO action. Should we break the ice on that somewhere in this meeting or just put it on the agenda for the next go round?
You know, I think that is a very good idea to perhaps put it on the agenda for discussion, maybe for the March meeting. The resolution for 520 is what you're referring to, raising, elevating the 520 bridge.
Yeah, from Cocoa Beach to the Banana River Bridge going west. And for the board, there's an analysis and assessment dating back to, you know, the late 1990s that support that, and Georgiana has the information on that, but it's just been a kick the can down the road, and we just want to find a place in the, maybe not in the near-term plan, but in the long-term plan to try to get that into our plans and see if someday we can do what they're doing at 528 and
Yep.
raise it 520.
Absolutely, Commissioner Williams. We will put that on the agenda for March. We do have the resolution and we can discuss some of the ways that we will be addressing that resolution. So I think that's a great plan. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to, we have Bicycle, Pedestrian and Trails Advisory. Sarah, is that you?
Yes. So
Are we going to do, okay, all right, sorry. Technical Advisory Committee, Citizens Advisory Committee is our next report item.
yes, thank you. The Technical and Citizens Advisory Committee met on Monday. And at your place, you do have or in your handout box, you have a summary of actions and attendance for the meeting. Both committees recommended that the TPO approve the consent agenda, the fiscal year 21 list of project priorities, Amendment 1, and also a resolution approving our project funding guideline. And of course, as I mentioned previously, they also recommended the TPO submit a letter opposing Senate Bill 62. So that is the TACCAC report.
Thank you. All right, now we can move to C.
Sorry about that.
Is this on? All right, good afternoon. I'm Sarah Crom. I'm the Senior Transportation Planner with the Space Coast TPO. The Bicycle Pedestrian Trails Advisory Committee met on January 25th. Since this was our first meeting of the year, there was a lot of administrative items, same elections, meeting calendar, such. Our new chair is Angelica Keene, and our vice chair is Alan Woolwich. We also approved the BPAC award nominations to be presented in March, and we had the same presentation you'll receive later today about the Bicycle Pedestrian Master Plan Progress Report, as well as also we started a new program called Member Showcase, where members can highlight their favorite trail or their favorite sidewalk, or maybe they have a problem area in their community to help encourage the discussion amongst the various municipalities that are represented there. So as you know, we have a long, thin county, and the representation in Titusville probably has no idea what's going on in Malabar and vice versa. So that's all I have today. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
The Florida Department of Transportation report. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Lynn Bobo, and I'm the Director of Transportation Development for FDOT's District 5. Thanks for having us all today. Sorry, I turned it over.
Right there. You should, yep, slide it towards you, I think. Yes, it's on.
Okay, I will start over. Very good. Thank you for having us today. My name is Lorene Bobo, and I'm the Director of Transportation Development for FDOT's District 5, which represents the 9 counties in Central Florida. I'd like to give to you today the FDOT report. First, I believe it's on page 44 is the start of our report. It's where we tell you about our construction projects and things like that that are going on. I'm not going to go through it, but we have changed the format recently. So we are welcoming any feedback that you may have on, what's the type of information that you would like to know? How can we make that information even better for you? So we look forward to any feedback, even directly to us or through Georgiana is fine. We do not have any public meetings currently planned in the near future in your area. And now I'd just like to cover a couple projects that we've been working on. One is we were very glad to sign the term sheet for the NASA Causeway Bridge, which is going to bring $90 million of federal grant money to the NASA Causeway Bridge and Space Commerce Way. This was a joint effort with Space Florida, NASA, and FDOT. A lot of people put in a lot of hard work to get that done, and the money is now on its way to the department so that we can rebuild that bridge. I will take a moment just to say that Jim Kuzma was a very big part of that, and we were very shocked and saddened to hear of his passing last week. I'm sorry. I know that he was very, very excited that we got that to finalization, just like a lot of us are. Sorry, I didn't think that would happen. Some other things that we've been working on with our partners, one of them is the Babcock PD&E. That is a PD&E, project development and environmental study that we've been working on for several years now with Brevard County and the TPO and the city. And we'd kind of gotten to a point where do we go next? Collectively, we really didn't have the funding to move that project to the next stage. So we all worked together and decided that the best thing today is to put that PD&E study kind of on the shelf in a format that the efforts so far will not be lost, but when the right time to bring that project back forward again, we'll be able to pick it up and move forward. And one of the good things about that collaboration is that we then started talking about other projects that are important to the region. And Ellis Road is I think it's #1 on your priority list and for the MPOAC. And so we recognize that that is a project that we really need to focus our efforts on. We have been focusing efforts, but we really need to do that a little bit more. So we look forward to figuring out how we can continue funding those phases. We're in right of way now, and how do we get that construction funded so that important project can occur. So we look forward to continuing that effort. The last time I was here, we had talked about State Road 528. And since that time, we've had some collaboration meetings, and we have another one scheduled at the end of this month so that we can continue working with all of the partners in that area to make sure that we are designing and ultimately going to build the right infrastructure for this area. So we look forward to continuing that coordination. I don't know, I'm sure you guys have driven over some of our railroad crossings. As you're driving around, I don't know if you've noticed, we have started an effort called Stride, where we're installing dynamic envelopes, and we're putting like this crisscross pattern of striping at the crossing. And that's trying to tell the public and tell the drivers, don't stop in this zone. If you stop in this zone, there's a chance that you might, have a collision with a train. We're about 75% complete with those efforts here in Brevard County. And we're looking to finish the rest of those very soon. We're already seeing statewide a lot of really positive feedback from drivers. They're kind of noticing it and stopping, which is ultimately what we want. So it's really great. So with that, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a great report. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. Georgiana?
Yes, thank you. So I'll read the consent agenda and you can consider passing in one motion. Approval of the governing board minutes of October 8th, committee appointments with an add-on, which is at your place. The 2021 meeting calendar, a resolution amending the TPO policy for Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board to add a veteran representative to the policy. Also, a resolution adopting the FDOT's safety performance target of 0 fatalities and 0 serious injuries for 2021. The TPO supports the DOT's target of 0. Also, a resolution adopting the Space Coast Area Transit Safety Plan. Approval of work order for bus stop ADA training scope of services. And the purpose of the training would be to help municipal staff understand ADA compliance and to aid them in reviewing site plans to ensure ADA compliance. And then finally, ratification of the UPWP amendment to reflect changing the state and local match requirements for the FTA grant funding. So that is the consent agenda.
Thank you. There's a motion, Pritchett, and second, Minus. All those in favor, Mr. Lober?
Just a quick question, and I just was hoping we could get a little clarification, if you don't mind, Ms.
Sure.
Gillette. On page 109, could you go over the different sources of revenue? I intend to support the motion, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So it's the last page of the section 109.
Let's see here.
Hi, this is Laura Carter, the Assistant Director. The funding sources that you see there are the federal sources mainly that we receive through the state. PL is our planning funds. SU is our Federal Surface Transportation Funds. I'll be talking about those later also. FTA stands for our Federal Transit Administration Grant. Are there any other ones on that list that you would like to? So those funds are directly received by the TPO on an annual basis to perform metropolitan planning organization functions.
I appreciate it. I just want to make sure that everyone has in mind the same meaning for the same acronyms.
Understood.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of passing the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. All right, that moves us on to action items, and this is on page 110, the annual election of officers and committee appointments. Paul Gugelman.
Thank you. At this point, we need to hold our annual elections for the officers and some of the positions for the executive committee. The first position is the position of chair. Mayor Kathy Meehan was term limited under the City of Melbourne Charter, so that position is currently vacant. Traditionally, officers have historically moved up to various positions, but the final decision is reserved to the governing board. So therefore, I'd like to ask our vice chair, Andrea Young, if you are nominated, would you be interested in serving as chairman?
Yes, it would be my honor and a privilege. Yes, I would.
I nominate Andrea Young.
I'll second it.
We, under Robert's rules, we actually don't need seconds for nominations. Commissioner Pritchett has nominated Ms. Young. Are there any other nominations?
Move nominations be closed.
Okay, if I could restyle that motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Ms. Young. And that was motion by, Mr. Jordan.
I'll second that.
And Mr. Lober seconds. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
And opposition, seeing none. Congratulations, Ms. Young.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have some very large shoes to fill, so I will do my best. Thank you.
Okay, the next position that's open is the position of vice chair, which is now vacant, given your appointment of Ms. Young. The secretary might be in a position to move up. I'll ask Ms. Minus if she would be interested in moving up to vice chair.
Yes, sir, it would be my honor.
Okay, we'll now open the floor for nominations for vice chair. Okay, Mr. Forrester nominates Ms. Minus.
Move that the nominations be closed or do whatever you do.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Jordan, second by Ms. Pritchett to go ahead and close nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Minus. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, and the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Minus. The position of secretary is now open.
Have a motion.
And
If I
we'll
may.
take nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Jordan from Titusville.
Why would you do that?
Is that a dangerous thing?
Because you're from Titusville.
Because I'm from Titusville. All right.
Okay, Mr. Lober nominates Mr. Jordan. Willing to accept the nomination?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'll make a motion to close nominations.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Pritchett and second by Mr. Lober to go ahead and close nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Mr. Jordan as secretary. All seeing discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, sir.
We now move on to the at-large board positions. And we will we'll do these seats individually. Seat number 1 is Commissioner Allender. Commissioner Allender, if selected, would you be willing to support again?
Yes.
Yes.
There you
The
go.
answer is yes. All right. For board member number 1, are there any nominations?
I nominate Mr. Jerry Allender.
Okay, I think that was Mr. Jordan. It's hard to see with masks on. Don't take your mask off. But in any event, Mr. Jordan nominates Commissioner Allender. Are there any other nominations?
Move that nominations be closed.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Jordan moves and Commissioner Lober seconds that we go ahead and close the nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Commissioner Allender. All those in discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then we move to at-large board seat number 2,
Motion, sir.
and that is vacant.
I'd like to put up Ms. Cost if she's willing.
Would be an honor.
Okay, nomination by Commissioner Lober for Councilmember Koss from Cocoa.
Move that nominations be closed.
Any other nominations?
I just moved.
Seeing none.
Second.
Mr. Jordan
Yes.
moves and Commissioner Lober seconds that we close the nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Koss. All seeing discussion? None. All those in favor signify by voting aye.
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 Opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Koss.
Thank you.
The next position is on your roster is the TPO representative to the MPOAC, which is I refer to it as the state MPO. That position is currently vacant. So we are open for nominations.
I'll put up Ms. Young.
Okay, Commissioner Lober nominates Councilmember Young. Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Young.
So move.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Allender. Is there a second by Mr. Jordan? Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposition, and the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next position is the alternate representative for the MPOAC, and that position is currently vacant. Nominations?
I nominate Brian Lober.
Commissioner Pritchett
Say
nominates
yes. Say yes.
Commissioner Lober.
If no one else wants it, I'll take it, but I don't want to preclude anyone from doing
There
it.
you go. Move that the nominations be closed.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Allender and a second by Mr. Jordan
Yeah, okay.
to close nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Commissioner Lober. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Commissioner Lober. The second, another vacant position that we have at this point is that of the TPO's representative to the Central Florida Metropolitan Planning Organization Alliance, which is the group of Central Florida MPOs. That position is vacant. Any nominations, please?
I nominate Miss Rita Pritchett.
Second.
Okay.
If the second's needed.
Mr. Jordan nominates Commissioner Pritchett. Are there any other nominations?
Second.
Mr. Jordan moves, Commissioner Lober seconds, the nominations be closed, unanimous ballot cast for Ms. Pritchett. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
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 Opposed, and the motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're getting there, we're almost done. Well, kind of. The next position is a TPO representative on the Central Florida Metropolitan Planning Organization Alliance. This is a second position that we have for that. Currently, Councilmember Minus serves as that representative. If you're selected, would you be willing to serve, Ms. Minus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any nominations, please? Okay, Mr. Jordan moves Ms. Minus for
I'll move to close the
reappointment.
nominations.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Lober, second by Mr. Jordan to go ahead and close nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Minus. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the motion passes. Thank you. Now we go to the TPO representative alternate position on the Central Florida Metropolitan Planning Organization Alliance. That is.
Mr. Googleman, we have a moment.
I think we need to do the third alliance member.
Okay, I don't,
I've only got 2 alliance members.
okay, I don't see that, but we can go ahead and do that. I'm sorry.
Nominate Kurt Smith.
Okay, nomination by Commissioner Pritchett.
He's saying no.
He's saying no. Commissioner Smith does not wish to do it.
I'd nominate Andrea Young, move her from an alternate up to fill in the representative position.
Okay, nomination by Councilmember Forster for Ms. Young. Any other nominations?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Jordan, second by Ms. Minus to go ahead and close nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Young. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and motion passes. All right, now we get to the alternate position, which was previously held by Ms. Young. So that position, and I guess there are 3 of those. So how many? Yeah. So we'll take those one at a time. For position number 1, that's currently filled by Ms. Koss from COCO. Are there any nominations? Okay, Mr. Jordan nominates Mr. Robinson, I'm sorry. I'm having. Okay.
Second.
Okay, a nomination of Mr. Robinson and a motion to go ahead by Mr. Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Lober to go ahead and close nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Robinson rather, I'm sorry. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
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 Opposition? Okay, now we'll go to seat number 2. That is currently held by Ms. Koss from COCO. We'll open it for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Foster.
Okay, Mr. Jordan has nominated Mr. Foster to
Wake up, buddy.
to be the second alternate representative.
Move that the nomination be closed.
Second.
Okay, seeing no more nominations at this point, we go ahead and have a motion by Mr. Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Lober to go ahead and close nominations, casting unanimous ballot for Mr. Foster. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Now we get to the third alternate position. And again, that is held by Ms. Koss. Are there any nominations?
Put up Skip Williams.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I only see it too.
That is correct. I didn't have a third in there, but there is the third. That was a clerical error on that.
Okay. All righty. Nominations are now open for position number 3.
I put up Skip Williams.
Okay, nomination by Commissioner Lover for Commissioner Williams from Cocoa Beach. A motion by Mr. Jordan. And is there a second to his motion?
I'll second it.
To go ahead and close nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Commissioner Williams. Discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Now, the transportation, this is our last one. It's good because I'm almost out of breath. The Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, chairman's position, under our rules and under the state requirements, has to be a member of the TPO. And currently that position is held by Councilmember Young. If nominated, would you be willing to serve again?
Yes, I would. That's a great board. Yes.
Oh, okay,
I
great.
nominate Ms. Young.
Commissioner Lober nominates Councilmember Young.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion by Mr. Jordan to go ahead and close the nominations, cast unanimous ballot for Ms. Young, and I did not see who seconded. I'm sorry. Commissioner Allender. All right, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I'll return the gavel to the chair.
You do a great job at that. Thank you very, very much, Malcolm, and you are the best. Absolutely the best at that. All right, that moves us on, and thank you. Thank you very much for the position. Thank you for this honor. Approval of fiscal year 21 list of project priorities amendments. Sarah.
Oh, sorry, my glasses and mask are stuck. All right. So we are looking for approval to an amendment to our fiscal year 21 list of project priorities. It is focused in on a project that is the Parish Park Trailhead up in Titusville. As you can see on the screen, is basically Minoir to the east, Maryland National Wildlife Refuge, and the city of Titusville to the west. And it's that little strip of land called the Brewer Causeway, or rather there's a park on it that's considered Parish Park. The project wasn't originally on the priority list because it was receiving Federal Lands Access Program money, and that does not require it to be on the TPO priority list. However, there are overages that need to be filled in order for the project to continue into construction in this fiscal year. And so for the county to seek state and federal transportation funds to fill that gap, it needs to be put on the priority list. The project would include improved parking, drainage, some minor stabilization, so that basically people could park there to get on the Coast to Coast or St. John's River to Sea Loop Trail, or park there and access the federal lands via non-motorized boats such as kayaks and canoes. So it's a great asset to the community and to the trail community, and we'd like to propose to include it on our project priority list.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I didn't see who did it. Oh, no, thank you. That was quick. Thank you very much. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of putting this on the project priority list, vote aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, the approval of Resolution 2111, project funding guidelines. Laura?
Good afternoon. Before you today is a resolution that has some guidelines that we would like to summarize for you briefly for your consideration. These guidelines have historically been used by the TPO staff when we coordinate with the Florida Department of Transportation when we're using different fund sources to program our project priorities. The reason we are pursuing a formal adoption today is so there is consistency in how we approach the different funding sources and how we apply them to the different projects within our priorities. Also, over time, as always in any industry, there could be a change in staff, And this will allow a consistent approach to be applied over time, and also including when there are elections here at the TPO, we can historically go back to these guidelines and bring them back up if needed to adjust with new direction.
Motion to approve with a modification to the signature block is appropriate.
Okay. We can do that.
We've motion by Lober. Did you see who did the second?
I'm sorry.
Do you know who did the second? Mr. Lober did the first. Commissioner Lober
Ms. Lober and
did the second.
I was stuck on the signature block.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion passed. Thank you, Laura. This is going well. Presentations. FDOT Tentative 5-Year Work Program.
Hello.
Hello. It's on now.
Hello. Yeah, now it sounds louder. All right. Well, good afternoon. Kathy Alexander, Program Management Administrator, District 5. And thank you for the opportunity to come and present to you our tentative work program. This is for fiscal years 22 through 26. Our work program represents the transportation needs for the upcoming 5 years. The projects that we identify in our work program are based in collaboration with our local partners, area representatives, as well as the area priorities. And they include projects in public transit, seaport, airport, and rail projects, and also include transportation planning, transportation systems management operations, activities, engineering design, right-of-way, and construction activities. We manage our work program in terms of fiscal years, and the fiscal year begins July 1st and carries until June 30th of the following year. So we're talking about fiscal years 22 through 26 today. That first year, fiscal year 22, begins July of this year and will end in June of next year. The type of projects that are represented in our work program include safety and security, systems preservation and maintenance, pedestrian and bicycle improvements, multimodal enhancements, operational improvements, as well as capacity improvements. These projects are identified through DOT and TPO priorities, as well as state strategic systems priorities. And it also includes, they could also be derived from studies, any kind of maintenance reports, as well as inspection schedules. This gives you some context in developing our work program. Right now, we are currently working on the adopted work program. Our adopted work program begins on July 1st. So right now we are on fiscal years 21 through 25. And that first year is considered the lockdown, and it's set that way for budgetary purposes. So if there's any change to that lockdown, we would have to go to Tallahassee for any kind of approvals or authority to make any changes. So as we develop our tentative work program, what we're doing is building a new 5th year, and we're adjusting the programming for those years in between. So once the new 5th year is developed, the first year projects are complete, the years shift over, and we have our new 5-year tentative work program. So this is fiscal years 22 through 26. And our work program will remain tentative until it is submitted to central office, and then it goes to the governor and also to the legislature, and it becomes adopted on July 1st. A lot of planning goes into our tentative work program, so it is still subject to change. This gives you a representation of some of the activities that take place in order for us to build our tentative work program. Everything kicks off on July 1st. Not only is it the beginning of the new fiscal year, but it's also where we start to gather all the information on the needs for the projects that we're going to program for those upcoming 5 years. This is also when we receive the priority list from our local partners, our TPOs. They provide that information to us. We also assess what are the program and the targets that we have needs for the department. This year in particular, through the summer, we met with our TPOs and our local agency to discuss the possibility of programming projects in the upcoming 5-year plan. One critical activity that happens is the revenue estimating conference. And that is critical because that is where the state looks to see what the revenues were gathered for the year and make projections looking out. See, we have enough money there to be able to support the work program. This year, we faced some challenges. There were reductions, and there was also less than expected projections. So we had to balance our plan against a shortfall. About statewide, it was $1.4 billion. On top of that challenge, we had to do it much later than usual. We usually get those allocations and revenue information in September. This year, we received that information in November, which means that we were pushed up right against our snapshot date of December 18th, which was the date that was used for our public hearing or our work program public hearing workshop. That was held online. It was done the second week of January. And there's some activities that come from that as we worked our way towards adopting our work program. There was a public hearing where we can collect comments from the public that it will go on public record. The deadline for that was January 29th. We also have the deadline for TPO written objections. That is this Friday, the 12th. The tentative work program is submitted to the Florida Transportation Commission for review, and they will hold a public hearing and a public workshop, and that is still to be scheduled. And then after that, it goes to the office of the governor, and that happens before legislature begins. That's usually 14 days. That begins March 2nd, and it runs until April 30th. At that point, we have gone through the official reviews and the approval of the tentative work program, and it will become adopted July 1st. I mentioned the challenge with the revenue and the forecasting that came out of the estimating conference for this work program cycle. So some of the contributing factors to that is we continue to see enhancements in fuel efficiency, as well as electric vehicles coming on the roadways. That means there's less gas and fuel consumption. So that is affecting the revenues and the projected forecast into the future. We're also seeing an increase in right-of-way costs. So 7.1% real estate prices increasing our projects. And to no news to anybody, we had the economic impacts of the pandemic. We had less tourists, we had venue and event cancellations, social distancing. This also contributed to some of the lack of the revenues that we would love to have had. And so that's also affecting the money that's available for some of our projects. There's been some optimism on revenue here lately, but we're still waiting to see how that's going to offset with some of the damage that's already occurred. So at the district level, we had a shortfall of $100 million over the upcoming 5 years. And there was the greatest shortfall was in the current year, $80 million. But still looking forward, we had less money than for all our needs in 4 of the upcoming 5. So we wanted to make sure that we were still holding true to any existing contracts that we had. We were still making payment on any kind of debt service requirements that we had. We were preserving and maintaining our system. And also, if we had to impact any kind of projects, make it the least impact as possible. If we could offset some of that balancing across several years, that was great. If we could defer as minimal projects as possible, maybe 1 or 2 years, that was our goal. We also looked within the district to see how could we absorb some of those shortfalls, and we reduced our support contracts in terms of continuing services, and our general engineering contracts would provide support to the department. Here you see what's available, what's represented in our work program for Brevard County. You see it's close to $900 million, and there's your breakdown per year. In terms of the type of projects where this funding is being programmed, we have safety, capacity, we have preservation, which would be like your resurfacing, as well as your bridge rehabs and repairs, multimodal, which includes your spaceport, your aviation, your transit, any of those sorts of items. We have operations. This could be your traffic signal timing, bike ped improvements, and miscellaneous. That could be anything like maintenance, landscape, and any other items, studies. Those are included in there. So you can see that's your total for the 5-year across those different categories. Now I'll highlight some of the projects that have funding program in the upcoming 5. Starting off with some capacity and widening projects. Here we have 426905-4. This is widening St. John's Heritage Parkway from John Rhodes Boulevard to west of Wickham Road. Here we have the right-of-way program in fiscal years 22 through 26. Another widening project, this is State Road 528. Here we have right-of-way, also program fiscal years 24 through 26. Another capacity improvement projects extending 528 east of State Road 3 to Port Canaveral Interchange. Here we have right-of-way in 24 through 26. Bridge replacement project. This is a big one coming up in fiscal year 22. Here we have construction. This would be as of July moving forward for 22. This is the Nassau Causeway Bridge. We also have some improvements for Space Commerce Way. Construction for that is also in the upcoming year, fiscal year 22. Some operational improvement projects. Here we have State Road 500, US 192 at Hollywood Boulevard. We're adding some additional turn lanes there. Here we have design in the upcoming year, fiscal year 22. And then we have right-of-way 22 through 24 with construction programmed in 24. Another improvement project along State Road A1A from south of International Drive to Long Point Road. Here we have right-of-way activities programmed from fiscal years 22 through 26. And then there's construction programmed in fiscal year 26. Another operational improvement, this one, Wickham Road at the I-95 ramp improvements. They're also doing traffic signal improvements there with mast arms in place. Here we have construction programmed in the upcoming year, fiscal year 22. Traffic signal improvement project. This is along State Road 518, Ugalli Boulevard and Wickham Road. Here we have construction in fiscal year 23. Next, we have some ITS, and this is informational transportation systems, intelligent transportation systems, sorry. Communication system projects. This is along Nassau Boulevard from Wickham Road to US 1. Here we have that operational improvement is programmed in fiscal year 22. Another ITS operational support project. This is Brevard County, countywide. Here we have this program between fiscal years 22 to 26. We have bike path trail projects now. This one is Space Coast Trail, Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge to Playa Linda parking lot. And here we have environmental activities that have been programmed in fiscal years 23. Here's an improvement along State Road A1A. And this is a program for right-of-way fiscal years 22 through 24 and includes bike and pedestrian improvements there, sidewalks. Another sidewalk improvement project. This is Nassau Boulevard, Gateway Drive to Eddie Allen Road. This has construction in fiscal year 24. And this last slide that you see here, as I mentioned, having to impact the work program due to those reductions in the shortfalls. This was one project that we did have to make some adjustments to. There was construction and that was deleted off of that project in the upcoming year. But in order to make sure that we kept it moving and kept it up still with a focus, they did have the environmental retained for fiscal years 23. And that concludes my presentation. So I'll be glad for any comments or questions.
You look at me with apprehension for some reason, but I'm just wondering, do you have the list of projects that you can separate by either district or by city?
We could certainly provide, yeah, we could break it out by jurisdiction.
Yeah.
We could do that.
That'll
If it's not done already, we could definitely get that out.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thing over 401 reports, is that in your lockdown period, and that's probably illustrated here?
Which, do you want to answer that one, Lorraine? There's a couple of them on there, so I want to make sure.
Good afternoon. I think you're referring to the PD&E for 401. Yes. So that is in this current fiscal year. This is the tentative, which is in the future. So that 401 PD&E, we've already selected the consultant and we're finalizing that contract right now.
Any questions? Any further questions for Ms. Alexander?
One other question, the ITS, can you explain that a little bit more, what that actually means?
You did catch me on that one.
Sorry.
It's okay. If I don't have an answer, well, Lorraine can come back up. If not, we can get you an answer. Are you talking about the ITS operational support? Yeah. Okay, this is the district-wide one.
Right. So ITS stands for Intelligent Transportation System. Not exactly sure what this project is doing, but overall what ITS is doing is putting in technology to help us with signals and dynamic message boards and all of that type of thing. So I think it's just support around the entire district to make sure that we have that technology as part of our system. So, but we could get more details if you needed it.
And also, Councilmember Jordan, the TPO provides Brevard County $225,000 a year for operational support of the ITS system, of the traffic management system. And so that is to help pay for salaries and what have you, maybe equipment at times. So, that is one of the conversations we're going to really be digging into this year, because we're talking about our future. This is really, we don't have the money to continue to widen roads anymore. And so we are heading in that direction. Brevard County is in the process of designing a new traffic management center, which is going to be the brains of the operation. And so this is a big investment that we're going to continue. We're basically laying the foundation, setting up the system for future autonomous vehicles. And so it's where we're going in the future. Later this year, we'll be adopting our ITS master plan. So you'll be hearing a lot more about it in the future. Yes, we do. Yes, the county put that in.
Yeah, Robert, it's not sure, I'm an engineer, but my little key brain, the way I understand it is that electronics are embedded in the roadway and on the mast posts at different intersections. And when the ITS system sees, for example, a whole backup going east to west, they can speed up the light, and so they can get that traffic moving. So it's an intelligent transportation system. That's exactly what it is.
And when do we anticipate the completion of that system?
It's just an ongoing process. Okay. We're basically, updating cabinet boxes, making sure that you have the technology so the signals are connected. Mm-hmm. We're having to do different pieces throughout the county as we get funding available. Stephen can talk all day about it. He is our contact for our ITS and the development of the ITS master plan. But again, this is going to be an area that we really want to get you guys involved in, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the coming months as we move forward. Stephen, I'm going to let you handle that.
I'm sorry, is it integrated with emergency management when it comes to evacuation? We experienced that with some hurricanes. So will this system assist in evacuation routes and such nature?
Yes, it is. Again, I'm Stephen Bostel, project manager for ITS Master Plan. And yes, to answer your question is yes, the Emergency Operations Center has direct access to the camera feeds so they can monitor traffic and the conditions on the roadway so they can disseminate information to the public during those times. And the Florida Department of Transportation also does a really good job of monitoring that and coordinating with the EOC as well and getting more information throughout the state.
Thank you. Any other, we have a comment card on this subject as well, but do we have anyone else here in the audience physically who would like to comment on this, or online? Any comments, any more questions for Councilman?
I would like to make just a few comments.
Thank you, Georgiana.
If you would allow me. First, I neglected to introduce the secretary, the FDOT District 5 Secretary Jared Perdue is here with us. And I do want to let you can see his face now, so you know what he looks like when he comes to the meetings. But just a few observations. First I want to thank the secretary and Lorene and their staff for all of the hard work over the past year, because it's been a tough year. And, with the revenue impacts, I got to tell you, the carnage could have been a lot worse, and I'm sure it has been for some of the other MPO areas. We were hit, but it could have been a lot worse. I want to say that I appreciate the state funding on A1A at that intersection. and the sidewalk at North Atlantic and International Drive realignment, because that has been a top priority for Cape Canaveral for years. And so now that we have construction money in the new 5th year, that's very significant, and we appreciate that project. And also, Lorraine, you were talking about Jim Kuzma. You know, the department's commitment to get the NASA Causeway and the Spaceport Connector project as a whole delivered is commendable, because your staff understands when you're dealing with federal money, there's a lot of strings attached, but this infrastructure grant was on another level. And so we appreciate working with Space Florida and NASA and delivering this project. And now all this money, millions of dollars, is in the DOT work program. And we really appreciate that a lot. You know, and as we move forward, we have to always mention Ellis. We just ask that you continue to help us figure out how to get our #1 priority fully funded. I know it's a challenge, but we're open to doing whatever we need to do to make that happen. And if it means going after some sort of grant, the TPO is willing to take the lead on that, but you have to have a match to that federal money. And so therein lies the problem, is the match. And so anything that we can do to help, please let us know. And then also, you know, anything that you can do to get the $2.5 million of SIS money that's going to update the design of the 528 bridge over the Banana River, which will allow for the future opportunity of the causeway removal, which is what we talked a lot about last year. And so that's still hanging out there, and it's something that we really want. Those are our 2 top priorities, I think, is Ellis and trying to get the money to finish that design. And just because we had to, we did do a letter of objection, and there's a copy at your place for the Space Coast Trail. I know the construction was deleted in fiscal year 22, and that bites a little bit because that's a huge tourism, economic development, ecotourism. But we understand that something's got to get cut. But if you could reconsider that and find it in any way to reconsider that, we would certainly appreciate it. But again, thank you for all your hard work, because I know it's been a tough year, and we do appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Georgiana. All right, so I'm going to move on to the speaker card now. Mr. Bob Musser, you wanted to come in on this item 7A? Please come up.
Raise this up. Kathy, thank you for the presentation, and appreciate Secretary Perdue and Lorraine Bobo being here in the comments on State Road 401. I'm Bob Musser. I'm the Senior Director of Environmental at the Canaveral Port Authority, and your at-large board member and my boss, Jerry Allender, just asked me to mention the 3 projects that we submitted comments on for DOT's work program. The first one was already mentioned, State Road 401, and the importance of that bridge. We really appreciate that the PD&E is going to be starting on that this year. That's a key project for not only for port operations, but also for commercial space operations going into the Cape Canaveral Space Force Base. Keeping this project at the forefront of DOT and the legislature is critical as these beginning stages start. There's going to be ultimately other stages that come up. Georgiana mentioned State Road 528. We certainly support the need for the additional approximately $2.5 million to include the widening, expansion, and elevation of that roadway in the existing PD&E study, which will accommodate increased freight, resiliency, and water quality improvements. Lastly, we support the legislature fully funding the FDOT work program for fiscal year 21-22 in order to fund seaport infrastructure projects and programs, including robust funding for the FSTED Seaport Security Grant Program at the statewide level. One other quick comment on State Road 528. We actually had really good conversations last week and this week with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And I think we have some good ideas on how eventually to move that project forward regarding the causeway. So as Lorraine, as you mentioned, I think we have a meeting coming up later this month and be happy to share some of that information. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the information. It was very interesting. Thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of the page. I must be out of items. All right, any comments from anyone on the board? Anyone want to mention anything that they're doing and bring to the board, to the TPO board? Thank you. All right, in that case, I'd mentioned I would, then would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We got one more item, 7B.
The next meeting will be March 10th at 2021, right here at this same location. That's the item you wanted? I did that.
Page 135, if that helps.
I have it. Sorry. I promise I'll do a better job next meeting. The bicycle pedestrian master plan progress. It's my favorite subject too.
I promise I'll be super quick since obviously we're ready to get out of here. So you should have a little one pager in your agenda that basically summarizes everything that I'm about to say. So if you wanted to share this with anyone or just to have a quick reference. So believe it or not, it has been a year since we adopted, well, a little over a year. October 2019, we adopted our latest version of our bicycle pedestrian master plan. Many of you were involved. Many of you provided a lot of support throughout the process. So we thought it'd be nice to annually come back and kind of give an update on what we were able to accomplish from that plan. So we developed 5 goals through that process that had various objectives and action items and performance measures attached to them. So I'm just going to briefly go through the 5 goals, and keep in mind that the update is based off of those objectives and performance measures that were within those goals. So create a network, establish a well-connected, safe, and comfortable bicycle and pedestrian network. We had a performance measure to plan, design, or construct 4 miles of additional bicycle and pedestrian facilities within 5 years. And within the first year, we had 7.24 miles of bicycle, pedestrian, or trail facilities that had either completed a phase or had additional funding added to them within that first year. So we've already passed our performance measures. They are listed on there. Some of them of note in my would be John Rhodes sidewalk. If any of you guys have driven by John Rhodes on O'Galley, it has a huge cattle path where basically it's so obvious that there's multiple pedestrians that are using it daily, and there really was a need for a sidewalk. So the design is wrapped up, and this year it will be moving into construction with Brevard County. Also, we were able to get 3.14 miles of trails funded for design and construction in Melbourne as well. And then I also wanted to note some of the resurfacing. So the resurfacings are not included in that mileage. I didn't include that, but we have 4 resurfacings that were under design last year with FDOT that we were able to coordinate and get bicycle and pedestrian improvements through those resurfacings. One of them is State Road 519 or Fisk, and I've never been so happy to drive through construction every day to and from work because I get to see a brand new sidewalk that's filling a gap that's been there for years and was really needed. We also are very involved in our showcase and regional trails. And some of the things to note is that the Space Coast Trail is under design. So it is still moving forward, even though the funding was deleted. And we also, as you know, adopted a new trail alignment with the Indian River MPO. Our next goal is to partner with organizations, partner to educate, enforce, and engineer safe use of facilities. Kim and Abby do an absolute wonderful job with this throughout the year. They had, there were impacts from COVID because this is obviously something a goal that really works best when you're getting out there in the community. However, they conducted really awesome programs such as the Operation Vision Zero in February 2020 and the Stop on Red event in August. And then Kim completed the Vision Zero action plan in October. Empower people of all ages and abilities to walk or bike regularly. We held 8 trail-focused webinars through the St. John's River to Sea Loop Summit. It was originally supposed to be a 2-day in-person summit and held at the end of March. So we had to very quickly change up the speed. And through that, we actually were able to expand our reach where we had people from out of state attend the summit. We also completed 8 school routes analysis, and that resulted in 2 safe routes to school applications that were submitted this past cycle. Generate awareness, increase awareness of the network, safe practices, and public health benefits. We finished all the initial mapping of all of the facilities on functionally classified roadways through the process of developing the plan. And now essentially, Chelsea and I are working on creating a more dynamic structure for that mapping where people could potentially look at the map and say, hey, looks like it might be a great place to bike or walk. We also are in the process of scoping the North Brevard Wayfinding Plan that will come to this board in March for the scope approval. And we presented to 5 municipalities and the Brevard Sustainability Working Group the bicycle pedestrian master plan. We had the goal or rather the performance measure to have presented to all the municipalities, either through discussions one-on-one with their staff or such. And really when COVID hit, I kind of took a step back and didn't think it was the time. And so we plan to incorporate it into a larger program to share all of our plans and with more detail to municipal staff. Our last one is pursue equitable distribution of projects, programs, and funding. We began internal conversations to develop an educational engagement technique and program for underserved communities. We've continued to work with Space Coast Area Transit, specifically in ADA bus stop improvements. Some things of note is the Cocoa Transit Hub, the Vieira Health Department bus stops, and most recently, if you drive through Merritt Island on 520, the bus stops that the Merritt Island Redevelopment Agency and SCAT put in there are absolutely beautiful. And then finally, the development of a new project prioritization methodology was completed in March 2020. And throughout there, we intermingled aspects of equity to help create the list of project priorities. So obviously we had some impacts from COVID, who didn't? We had a decrease in community and school events. However, we had an increase in online engagement and education. We were all at home, we all started Zooming, we all started Facebooking, and we've definitely been able to increase our reach in the virtual world. We've also had an increase in the use and interest of bicycle and pedestrian facilities. I think people were sitting at home, they got a little stir crazy and they remembered that they were able to walk and bike, and how we've seen a huge, huge increase in people doing it recreationally as well as also for other purposes. And then, of course, there are potential funding impacts, so we'll just have to keep monitoring what bike ped trail projects might have funding impacts as the COVID continues, and also just we see impacts in the work program. So that's all I have for today, and if anyone has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them.
Any questions for Sarah? That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. That is so important to all of us. It's important to tourism that we keep that going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. All right, now we're to the bottom of the page. So just went ahead on my own. Thank you very much. All right, so now, anyone else have a comment that they'd like to bring to the TPO before we close? All right, in that case, we take a motion to adjourn. And I'm second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very, very much. Yes, happy Valentine's. Thank you. And thank you again for all of your support.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.